All right. We're finally here. Welcome to Amazon Answers. And today, you guys put me through the worst torture known to man. I am going to go through every single issue of Tom King's Wonder Woman, Trinity Special, every single issue of this crime against the character in order so I can demonstrate to anyone that maybe doesn't know how bad this run is or wants just a little bit more of a breakdown as to why people that understand Wonder Woman absolutely abhor this run. So, hey, what's up, NJ? Yep, I'm again every single issue. So that's about 26 issues plus the Trinity series. So I'm going all in, people. Is this what Scott Snyder meant when he said DC was going all in? I wonder. All right, so let's do this. So actually, I got to start with Wonder Woman 800, as a matter of fact. So back in, let me just pull this up. So shortly after the Clunerad run happened, Tom King was announced to be the next Wonder Woman writer. It was partially because of his work on the Supergirl book, which that should have been, in fact, a red flag. But I got Wonder Woman 800. But it's like, so Wonder Woman 800 was kind of like the introduction of his run. They've done this before with Action Comics 1000, where that was the first issue of He Who Must Not Be Named's run. Oh, yeah, NJ. Etta's father is coming. Yeah, I know. So let me get to that. So, yeah. So what happened here? So they used Wonder Woman 800 to introduce the beginning of Tom King and Daniel Sampere's run. So let's start with this. So we have here what we're starting off here. So we have John and Damian, but I like Damian being in the Grant Morrison Batman costume that he had. Was Trinity even necessary, even though she's been a Wonder Girl? Heck, she could even help random stray girls or Amazonian girls. It's sort of insulting to have Trinity just a new playmate. Well, yeah, exactly. And that's all that Trinity was intended for. If you hear Tom King talk about it, and it's documented, so he can't try and weasel his way out of this. In interviews, he said Trinity's existence is because Superman and Batman have kids. So that's the reason why this crime against humanity exists. So let's start with this. So she's late to a meeting of the new Trinity, Generation S. I know it's super cringe, but that's what they call it. So John says, I can see to the moon and everywhere else, and I cannot see her. So try and be patient, Mr. Adult. I think it's going to be. And then this is our introduction to Trinity. She goes, what? You're just standing there staring into space with all we've got to do? Seriously? Why is it so hard to get you boys to do anything right? And then it's like, you're late. And then Superman goes, how? I didn't see you. Then Trinity goes, I'm late because I was fighting 12 deities, and that takes a little time. Please forgive me. I regret it so. And you didn't see me because I'm, I don't know, like better than you at all the things in this news. I mean, is this news? That I don't regret, but you probably do. So I'm sorry about you doing the regretting, if that helps. What the hell type of dialogue is this? Like, this is some of the worst dialogue I have ever seen written in DC. And I'm like, this is absolutely abhorrent. This is like some of the most horrible BS I have ever read. And it's not surprising because King has a lot of trouble writing competent dialogue. So there is that. I'm just sharing this to Jim. All right, here we go. And all right. So then she goes, hurry up, you two. The magic cave of death or whatever is right over there. But the spell I just got to open is tied to the sun's reflection on the water. And you may or may not know that the sun actually moves. So, hey, what's up, Tevia? So we don't have all day to daddle-doddle with your weird hang-ups. Just like, this is so stupid. She goes, boys, if you'd like to stay behind and be all Craven. That's perfectly fine. Don't be ashamed or anything. Sadly, I don't have time right now to dig a hole in the sand for you to stick your heads into. Like, stop it. So then we meet. Is it really called the Cave of Death and stuff? And then Trinity goes, I would think you were joking. I might even hope for it, but then I remember you grew up in the Fortress of Solitude. So no, believe it or not, the openings for the cruelest prison in creation. Also, so they put that. So Diana put the Sovereign in the cruelest prison in creation. I just noticed that in the dialogue. So Diana essentially put Sovereign so Diana, the character that's known for like that, puts him in the cruelest prison in creation. Wow, really good with Diana's character, King. No, believe it or not, the opening for I just happen to know because you two never bothered to learn your Greek, and then this is the really stupid thing about this. There's 3 trials: pain, skill, honor. Who wants to go in what order? Doesn't matter to me, but if you can't decide, I'm happy to do it for you. Yes, I do agree with you, NJ. So then we keep going. We see a statue that's like pain. Okay. And then Batman is the one that's on skill and honor. But it's like, so Diana has like the black lasso of death, and she defeats this apparition of Diana. Then she meets the Sovereign, and this is where the story rapidly starts to fall apart. Okay, so she meets the Sovereign. Goes, I am Elizabeth Marston Prince, champion of the Amazons, leader of the Justice League, daughter of Diana, and the first holder of the 3 lassos of fate. That's not a thing. Why? That's not a thing. Why does she need 3 lassos? And 3, how is she the leader of the Justice League? Want to bring that up. So then the whole King run is Sovereign telling Trinity the story of like her origins and the whole thing about how she beat him. Now, bear in mind, Trinity at no point during this story puts the lasso of truth around the villain. Now, you could say, well, that just shows that like she's over. That's my way of saying that not all of this is true. And I go, yeah, so your idea of trying to like give yourself an out is making your OC a freaking moron. Wow. Nice, brother. So then we get to the actual Wonder Woman issue 1. And let's see. So we open up on a pool hall. And again, the Amazon Emily is hit on by some pervs. And she essentially kills all the men in there. And I'm like, what? And then we get the whole 9-panel grid because Tom King is desperate to be anything like Alan Moore, even though Alan Moore is infinitely more talented than King. Then we get Sergeant Steele, and this is when they canonize Amazon's attack, that Steele hates Diana because he was embarrassed by Amazon's attack. And we all know Amazon's attack is definitely the story that you want to canonize for a Wonder Woman story, or for Wonder Woman. That's definitely a story that you really want to reference. And he just shows up. He leaves a card, and it's just Sergeant Steele. Like, that works. But then also you have Diana and Steve, because, again, King doesn't understand that immediately previous to this run, and for 5 years beforehand, like literally for 5 years from the Wilson run all the way to this, Diana and Steve were not a couple. In fact, I believe Steve was in a relationship with someone else. So that's the interesting thing about this. So so all of a sudden Steve's romantic love interest vanishes, and then it's just Diana, because as you guys have probably detected from all of the content that we do, King has said that like he identifies with Steve Trevor because Steve was in the military and Tom was in the CIA. And I go, okay, bro, but that's why Steve takes the spotlight in this entire run, and that'll be the chief issue as we go through each issue. So we see each of the people reacting. It's like, oh, Wonder Woman was like a role model for my daughter and such, but she's dangerous. And then we have the Amazon extradition group. It basically acts going door to door and like taking out Amazons, which I think is stupid. And it's like, she's just shot up, and I'm like, this is still dumb. So here's also, yes, NJ, the CIA is not the military. It's a separate organization, number one. Number two, so you make, and this is something they tried to retcon in with the Amazons attack series that was going on concurrently with this. They make it so the Amazons have always been in man's world. And that really cheapens the significance of Diana becoming Wonder Woman, because the whole thing is like, at least, so the first Amazon, according to like the new history of the DC universe, to leave man's world was Hippolyta, because she was Wonder Woman during World War II. So it's like, then all of a sudden you do this, and then it's like, so Diana's coming to Paradise Island was nothing. Anyway, so then it's you have the standard commentators talking about it. We have Nubia like talking to the Amazons about possibly a war and stuff. So when did I have no idea, Tavia. And then we're at a funeral thing, and then they make Steel like the biggest a-hole, like, girl, you shouldn't be here. And it's like, I was near, I hope to give my prayers. And in this very first issue, that is just reference that they use very special bullets against Matas. Yeah. So Diana's attacked, and this is the first time we see Wonder Woman, and she takes down the Axe Guards. Now, I will say this. Again, this is the sin of any run by Tom King. He always gets the best artists on his books. That's the only reason why they sell as well as they do. The only reason. And whenever he changes artists rapidly, as in his Batman run, it completely tanks the whole thing. So and if you notice, the issues that were the lowest sellers of his book, of his run, are the ones where Sampere was not the artist. So that tells me his crappy run, his crappy writing is not what's appealing of this series. It's Sampere drawing Wonder Woman. So, and then Diana. See, here's the other thing. Diana in this book is written like a B word, and she's written very like stiff. Like he basically says you B word, and he goes, I don't like that word. You use it for women, and it's not good. You are assigned to hurt the Amazons. I am obliged to protect them. I know that you and I will meet many times in the future. Okay, when that happens, yes. When you come at me, trying to put me in my made bed. It's like, here's the thing. King was also like, he was inspired. He wanted Diana to sound like Gal Gadot. But the problem is that's an insult to Gal Gadot, because Gal sounds warm and loving and not like an emotionless automaton. So then we get, oh my gosh, now there's an arrest warrant for Wonder Woman. And then again, they're trying to force in Steve. Hey, what's up, Comic Boom? This was the first issue of Tom King's run. I thought it showed potential, went downhill on multiple levels. Sad. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I want to be clear. I picked up 19 issues of his run because here's the thing, Comic Boom. I was interested because here's the thing. With me, I was more like, okay, I wanted to give it a shot because I had enjoyed some King books in the past. So I gave it 19 issues. I figured that that's a good amount. I gave it the Sovereign story. I was like, okay, let me give it a shot to see, like, if maybe he redeems it. Maybe, like, the story goes. But it just got worse. And it's like, the way I attribute this run, it's like you're being tortured, but what you're doing is they string you up, spread eagle, and then repeatedly every issue release is a kick in the nuts. That's what I attribute this run to, because while there will be some pretty moments, there will be like that one moment in the book. And I will point out every moment, every one of those one moments in the book that completely makes the whole thing collapse. Every single issue has that moment. So then we meet the Sovereign, which is the most boring design. I'm sorry. For some reason, DC Online is taking a while to load. Let's see. Okay, it's this guy. And I'm like, how is that an intimidating villain for Wonder Woman? An old man that's the king of America. Yeah, doesn't work, Tom. Then we get to issue 2. So again, they have this is the sad part. King has some great visuals as well. So we get the Wonder Woman, essentially like a gladiatorial contest thing, which I love this. This is cool. Again, there are some cool moments in this. And then it's like paralleled by Steve. And this is the other reason why Diana being in a relationship with Steve later in this run makes no sense, because he was in charge of the military force that was trying to hunt her down. Did you forget this? The answer is yes. Did you forget this when you're trying to make an agenda? Steve really wants Diana. Then why did you lead the military force to capture her? Why did you do that? And then it's like Diana fighting would eventually be Emily. And then he's like, look, you can't fight us with the entire U.S. Army. By the way, he's talking about the U.S. Army. His uniform says U.S. Marine Corps. So, King, you can't even get that right. So it's like, what are you doing? And then it's like, so Steve leaves, and it's like she won't give up. Also listen to the way. So it's like, continuing on, the military goes in to fight Diana, and look at the way that Diana just kills U.S. Army soldiers. Isn't that great? Don't you really want to see that? Because look at that blood splatter right there. Someone dared King to create a worse villain than Kite Man, and King said, hold my beer, and created Sovereign. Oh, yeah, Comic Boom, exactly. Exactly. So, look, she kills people in the U.S. Army, and it's like, no, if she's whipping around a tank, I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe that person is, like, alive, okay? So it's like, again, why do we want to see her as a hero? See, everyone in that tank is dead, in both tanks. And she fights Emily, and then also, so the tiara can cut a tank in half, but then Mouse Man breaks, like, shatters it. Like, what? So then it's parallel with the battle. And again, a lot of this looks good. Like this bottom panel looks really good with like the soldier shooting Diana and she's deflecting all the bullets. Hey, what's up, RJ? How you doing, dude? And so essentially, like the Amazon, like, so it's revealed that that's Emily. So Diana knows Emily. It's cut to Superman easily. Yeah, I know, but it's like, so why is Mouse Man able to shatter it? Again, the logical inconsistencies on this run make me doubt Tom was ever able to write a good story. So then we get to here. So Diana just shows up at the Steel Industries thing. Also, she's a fugitive. How is she able to get that close to the building? Because this is in... What city is this in? I don't know. But it was in American cities that are highly surveilled. There's no way she'd be able to get in there. Anyway, she just shows up, and then the Sovereign talks to a U.S. Army soldier, and this is the moment this is the first time that I ever saw a significant backlash against the King run. This is the first moment. I'll get to that. Okay, King's Wonder Woman is Captain America level in power. Weaker than that, NJ. So Diane, again, here are some cool visuals again with the 8-panel grid, and Diana's in the elevator. That's kind of cool. And then Diana throws the tiara, and it takes out the soldiers. And I do like the whole her yawning as it takes out. Then she walks out, and then here is where this really gets bad. So Sovereign uses the lasso of lies and convinces the soldier to shoot himself in the head and blame it on Wonder Woman taking his masculinity. And I go, what? So you make a mockery of the veteran suicide? You make a mockery of that? Are you kidding me? That is disgusting. Hey, what's up, Comic Boom? Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you later, brother. And let's do content together real soon. So then again, then we get like the invisible jet, which I will say with the invisible jet, see you later, Tevia, with the invisible jet looking different, that happens all the time. So that part didn't bother me. And again, you have this really cool visual. It's why I've used it in a bunch of my thumbnails. And again, the veteran kills himself. And then we get the dumbest bait and switch part in the world, that Emily was pregnant. So they make you think it's a red herring that maybe Trinity was Emily's daughter. And then we get this really bad. So then they start including backups with the Super Sons. So these were all cringe, but you notice. So Wonder Woman's daughter is dressed like a Bat character. More on that later. That's the chief thing. So it's like the daughter of Wonder Woman, and you put her in a frickin' Robin suit. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. That is completely stupid. And then, so next one. Let's go to here. Then we get... So the newest thing talked about again that the Amazons are like under siege, and then Luffy says, "I would love to just forget the series that have existed, but this video is good for when I need to." Yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm doing it, because some people probably forgot a lot of the crimes King committed against Wonder Woman. So it's talking about again. Wait, is this the issue? Yes, it is. All right, here's the thing. I want to remind you guys of this. Wonder Woman is a fugitive from the law. Fugitive from the law. And it reminds you of it in this one page. So Diana does a visitation of a sick kid, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. In fact, the run should have started with this issue, because here's what this does. By visiting the sick kid, Wonder Woman just made this kid's whole family a target for aiding and abetting a known fugitive. Did King think this through? I'm going to give you I'm going to give you guys one guess on did he think this through? And no, he didn't think this through. So, and trust me, this run has one more really cringe moment that I'm like, no. So Jack meets Wonder Woman, and then Sovereign meets the president, and this president is, of course, on the control of Sovereign. And by the way, the invisible jet doesn't do this, where they're like invisible, or they're visible. You should elaborate why. I will, Luffy. That comes later. I'm going to get into that later, because I'm also talking about the Trinity series, but more on that. I promise. So then we get... also, everyone curses in this. Then we get the Amazons are like, you can't bring that child on here because he's a man. And I go, the Amazons wouldn't care. The dude's a man. I get that the Amazons are under threat from man's world, but it's a child. Lay off. And then we see Artemis. We see Nubia. And it's like, again, this is the only times we ever see the characters that people actually want to see. Then again, a lot of this is good, because the kid's like a cancer patient, and it's like he's visiting with Wonder Woman. That's cool. And then this is where, again, we get the arrest warrant for Wonder Woman. And then, okay. And this run, okay. This is the part that I'm like, is King really showing his age of the hello, fellow kids? They would even let men in need of help into the island. Well, yeah, but King doesn't know this. So Jack's whole thing is like, what is like, why do I like Wonder Woman more than Batman or Superman? I'm a boy. I should like Batman or baseball and stuff, but I like Wonder Woman. Is there something wrong with me? Am I sick? And I'm like, bro, that may have been a thing when you were a kid. I'm the example. It's not like unheard of for men to like Wonder Woman. That's not a thing anymore. I'm the example of this. I'm a white straight male, and I love Wonder Woman. The thing about this is that this is a good scene for 50 years ago. Exactly. I'm like, bro, I'm a white straight male, and Wonder Woman's my favorite superhero. I talk about her more than any other character on my entire channel, okay? What do you think? What are you doing? Then we see Cheetah and all this stuff, and then it's like there's going to be an arrest warrant for Wonder Woman. And then we see the Black Mercy thing, and it's more of Trinity being a really cringe kid, and honestly looking kind of evil. That's the thing. She looks very evil. And if you notice, looks like she's fighting Robins that are impersonating. Oh, it's John and Damian in there. She like, so she's imagining beating up her babysitters. Interesting. I wonder if King thought that. Interesting how that works out. And the answer is no, by the way, that he didn't think this through. If I ever asked, did King really think this through? Assume the answer is no. Assume the answer is no. So then, okay, this is going to get even more fun. You ready? So then we get, so King originally didn't want to include the Wonder Girls, but he got pressured into including them. And I wish he didn't, because he writes the Wonder Girls so horribly. So we have Donna, Yara, and Cassie. Also, case in point, question. Why aren't these characters fugitives? Like, Cassie legit wears the Wonder Woman logo on her t-shirt. Why isn't she being arrested? Why isn't Donna being arrested? Why isn't Yara being arrested? They're all known. They all have public identities. Isn't that interesting? Here's the thing. I've said that the reason why I like Zach's movies is because the more I go into them, the more I discover new things. The more I go into this run, the more logical failures I see. Like, why aren't the Wonder Girls under arrest either? Like, they have, like, public identities. Funny. So we see the Sovereigns assembling all of Wonder Woman's rogues. Again, I wish he didn't. There's like Giganta, Circe. And then we see, so for Yara, so basically it's a contest. And if they win, and if Diana wins, they stay out of the conflict. So Diana shoots an arrow at Yara, and she would never hurt a Wonder Girl. No, I'm sorry. She would never hurt one of her Wonder Woman things that she considers her like surrogate daughters or partners. She would never hurt them. Yeah, Luffy, again, it's like people that don't. Luffy, if you see that any people that are praising this run, ask them how much Wonder Woman they have read in the past. King relies on the ignorance of his audience. That's why he gets like praise for all of his books, because like when you actually are familiar with these characters, like obviously I am, Brit is, Jit is, and all that stuff, guess what, that you really start to see the extreme logical plot holes and straight up offensive writing. Then we see Grail. This is one of the chief problems here. We'll see that later. And then Diane, again, Cassie is literally wearing her logo on her chest. Are you stupid? And then, like, they have an arm wrestling contest, and then Wonder Woman wins. And then, oh, another problem! This character. I'll get to that. Then we see Angle Man. No one cares about these characters. And then Donna and Diana play Injustice. And it's like they're talking about, like, Superman or Batman, and the fact that a Batman, he Wonder Bat baits Wonder Bat in this, even though like he puts Diana with Steve. It's really stupid. And then they're all the villains. Okay, let me tell you the fatal flaw of this. So you see this character. That's Grail, daughter of Darkseid. Daughter of literal Darkseid. She is the daughter of this guy. Hang on.
Anti-life is found, Assad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it. Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
So, that guy's daughter. Why is she a lackey for a human? Why is she a lackey for a human? If Darkseid found out that his daughter was doing the will of a human, he would show up and Omega Beam her ass. Because that's an embarrassment to Darkseid. Also, yes, NJ brings up a good point. Circe is the goddess of magic. She's done the will of other people before in other runs, but that doesn't make it good. It's like the other villains I could kind of get, like Giganta, maybe Silver Swan, but Grail is where I draw the line. You shouldn't have included Grail. And then Cameron says a good writer would have had Grail actually be the leader in secret and reveal a surprise twist. Well, if I were the Wonder Woman writer immediately after this, what I would do is retcon it. So like the Sovereign was just a random like geriatric that Grail kidnapped and used as a figurehead. And Psycho made everyone think he was the King of America. It's just so Grail could tear apart Diana. That's what I would do. That would be the retcon that fixes this entire thing. Like Grail was acting like a henchman, but it was all part of her plan to undermine Diana. See, that's the way you fix this. People, NJ says, people who benefit her and have something to gain. That's true, NJ. That's a good point. That's a good point. And then it's like, it's the play. So King rips off Wonder Woman 1984. She lives in this apartment, even though that's never been established. She was living in a suburban house before this run started, so that's not where she lives. And then we see like the Wonder Girls say, and then he makes the Wonder Girl of color the foul-mouthed, like overly aggressive one, and I'm like, that's not problematic at all. So then we get the Trinity backup series, which in this is where it's like a race where they're racing on kangaroos. And then Diana talks about the toxic parenting of Diana. And I'm like, guess what, bro? You really ought to, like, if you want, because King went into this book, apparently, trying to make people think Diana is great. And I go, bro, A, we already know Diana's awesome. And B, if you're trying this, so far, the way this series is written, all the way up to 26, this has convinced me that King actually hates Diana, because there's no way if you love Diana, you have her labeled as a toxic parent. Even like, the kids think we're toxic parents, but it's like they don't understand. Nope, that would never happen. Never happen. So we have all of this bullshit, and this is when Gen S is phrased, and I go, no, this is just so stupid. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, so now men are allowed on Themyscira? I thought that like Jack the cancer kid was not brought on, but the people that have the powers of gods are allowed. Interesting. It's like the more plot holes that the more you go through this, if you go through this issue by issue, you really see a lot of like plot holes in this. So then we see more of like Diana and Steve again, which is like dramatically like BS. And then he's knocked out by Dr. Psycho, and then Giganta emerges, and then we get a dope fight with Wonder Woman and her villains. And again, this is where the art comes in. Here's the part that sucks. Are you ready? I am going to read now. Remember, and this is where when King says he knows comics or he read a bunch of Wonder Woman before this, like the Perez run, I call bullshit on that, because. So here's the thing. Vanessa Capitalis, and it's firmly established that this is Vanessa Capitalis, or the other Silver Swan. So the other Silver Swan has seen Diana as an enemy. Vanessa has always seen Diana as an ally and a sister. A sister! I'm going to read you the dialogue. Please, 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 you've got to stop. You have to run away, okay? Go and I'll meet you there. Well, first off, you haven't told her where to go. So where do you mean there? She goes, wherever you want, whenever, soon. Okay. And we can run away together. We can be together, and it'll be better, like so much better. You don't even know. Please, I need you to save me. You're so perfect. What the hell? Like, you don't even know. I'm like, that's not how she talks now, King. And then we get Giganta fights Wonder Woman and hits her with the like Washington Monument, which, okay, that's fine. And then Diana takes out Giganta, and then Grail shows up. And then again, we get a great battle with Diana and Grail, which I enjoy. Again, it's like Grail is a Wonder Woman villain that should be used more, because she is Wonder Woman's reverse Flash. She is really cool the way they do that. And then Diana, and then this is where King starts to try and force Diana to have a catchphrase. He's like, King is the equivalent of the kid Amon from Black Adam, constantly trying to force a catchphrase where there shouldn't be one. He's trying to have another Kite Man, hell yeah, but Diana has never had a catchphrase, nor should she. Anyway, a good reason would have been Vanessa being mind broken from being tortured and forced into Silver Swan, but again, King is not a good writer. Well, also, by the way, in the previous run, she was literally established as recuperating, and she had made up with Diana. There's no way she would have joined a group that was going to fight Wonder Woman. She was going to make up with her, and then Diana faints and is captured by the Sovereign. So, and then we get this stupid image of like Trinity talking about like them trying to. Notice. Do you notice how? Okay, here's where I'm going to start. You notice how Trinity is like in a bat room, and I'm like, okay, it could be because it's like Wayne Manor and stuff. So I'm like, okay, fine, but wait until you guys see this. So then we get to the next issue. So this is the one that, and you can go back to like the early episodes of Super Wonder Legacy. This is the one where Britt and I were like cautious about, because King said he's going to do a deep dive into Superman and Wonder Woman's relationship. To quote my good friend Britt, he does the equivalent of a pinky toe into a bottle cap of water. So he has to so he makes the recuperating victim a villain again and makes her crazy. Again, how has no one noticed this? Yeah. Even a mind-broken Vanessa still loves Diana and has her back. Well, loves her as a sister again, but again, King doesn't know that. So Diana goes into a shopping mall with Superman because okay. This is where I first started to notice King has an over obsession with Batman, probably because he got kicked off the book because Hulk was outselling his crappy run. Then they gave him a pity Elseworld series. So I'm sorry, I know that King said he wants 100 issues, but I'm like, bro, never go into a book wanting issues, because then if you go into it expecting a large number, you're gonna put a bunch of like filler in there just to buy time. Were you optimistic about Super Wonder version of King? I was cautious, NJ. I was cautious. I was like, he could do it well. He could do it bad. And here's the thing. He did it relatively inoffensive. It was still boring, and it's still like they're getting a birthday present for Batman. But besides that, it's like, okay. But so they do like this whole Batman, Wonder Woman and Batman thing, go to the movies, they talk, and then Superman offers like his aid, and then Diana says no. That this whole issue is to explain why didn't Superman get involved and help Diana. But of course, and then they get a pedicure, which again is like very like none of this is a deep dive into their relationship, King. Yeah, and that's the birthday present, and I go, bro. Just because you like Batman does not mean that like you have to always have Batman there. You're just making it look like you have an obsession. So then we get to more of the BS. Here we go. So I present to you the first time he ripped off a story. It's ironic I'm covering this. Gosh, William. So it's hilarious that I'm talking about this series on this channel. I mean, on this show, because you guys remember I did an entire Amazon Answers on Sensational Wonder Woman, and the first story is about Diana is in a mind prison where she's a 1950s housewife. Personally, I like this issue. I like Superman and Wonder Woman actually interacting. I hated how he somehow found a way to make it all about Batman. I know. So Diana is like the stereotypical housewife, and then she's like covered in the lasso of lies. And King does the stupidest thing where like he starts quoting the Bible, having the Sovereign pour wine on Diana's head. And I go, bro, what the hell are you doing? None of this is important to your shitty story. And he's quoting the Bible, and then it's like the Wonder Girls interrogate Sergeant Steele in the most un-Wonder Girl way of doing it, where they like almost hit him in the balls with a bow and arrow and stuff. So I'm like, that's not even funny or any way cool. And then Yara goes, no, you tried. You probably like cheated. You probably like nipped off one of his like, and then it's, she means balls. But again, Yara, the Wonder Girl of color, is somehow the swearing one. Everyone swears in this book, by the way. And Diana's like wrapped in the lasso of lies, which I'm like, that's the other part. If I were to retcon this run and completely eliminate it, I would make it where like the Diana that we see and like the everything from this issue and on is a construct created by like the Sovereign. It's a clone, and then that clone breaks down, then real Diana is still being held hostage. And then there you go. That's what I would do. And she breaks out. She breaks the lasso of lies. And then she has the Sovereign hostage. Oh, yes, NJ. He kind of does do that. Isn't that interesting? So now Wonder Woman has has the Sovereign in her grasp. She has broken out. And then we get this BS. We get more of the story where she's being trained by like all these different people. She's traveling through time and screwing with the timeline. And it's like, none of this is fun. It's all very like cringe. So then we get to this number that's trying to establish that Diane and Steve have this big like love, which they don't. I want to be clear on that, which they don't. It's like Steve is arguably one of the most useless characters in all of Wonder Woman. And then over here, this is the part that pissed people off, in addition to many other parts of this issue. But this is where it's established that when Diane and Steve were like hunting terrorists and they couldn't find them, they hung out and made out instead of chased the terrorists. And they go, we got to them, eventually. So while terrorists are running free in a city, they're making out. And then we get the Maxwell Lord allegory, and then we see Diana saying, I ate one of the rats in my prison cell. And remind me, why do you want to tell me Diana's cool? Because arguably you're doing something stupid, which that is like King's whole like writing ability. And then let's see what else. And then we see like all throughout these journeys, it's just to establish that like apparently he thinks that Steve Trevor is like Wonder Woman's Lois, which he isn't. And it's just more of this. Yeah, I want to throw up every time I look at this. Then there's the rat. That's the mate of what Diana ate. So then we get Trinity visiting Zatanna, and it's just more of Trinity having the cringest dialogue, and it's excused because people wanted more Super Sons books. That's the only reason why that's why a lot of these people bought the Trinity series, because they wanted more Super Son stuff. So you notice the minute they excluded those backups, the book collapsed. Isn't that interesting? Oh no, it's a corgi. And it's a corgi because that's where that's the type of dog Belina Ortega has. And so then we get to, let's keep going. Wonder Woman 10. This is the other one that really pissed off the internet. So they just deposit Diana on an island. They just let her go. She walks on an island and then is attacked by Cheetah. And when the Wonder Girls try to find her first, and again, so Yara's cheating, is like cursing, and then this is where they like fight, and then they wrestle, and then everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, King queer baited Diana and Cheetah." And I go, "No, he didn't." Here's how I know that. Diana was like, if you actually listen to all of the interviews of King. And this is also why Rich Johnson's a freaking moron, because he tried to say, "Oh, they gave Diana a girlfriend." No, they didn't. This is literally the run where where King said he wanted Diane and Steve to be together. You idiots! And they just do this BS to establish Cheetah, everything Cheetah has done to the Wonder Girls, there's no way that they would allow her to show up. And then here, this is trying to set up. Oh, by the way, here, it's like, let me see here. So Diana, so Trinity is like flying a kite, and it's like, I'm trying to find, where's the one about, I don't have a mom, my mommy kite. I found it. Okay, there you go. And okay, let me go to this. For some reason, this isn't going. Oh, and yeah, and then it's like a ad for DC thing for is Tom King anti-LGBTQ, claims he's pro it, but him making making a lot of the gay characters in this evil is very uninteresting. So in this, so then we get to Absolute Power, and these were like some of the books that I actually enjoyed because it's taking a break from his crappy run. It's like Diana playing cards with all the magic people, and she's attacked by one of the Amazo things. And then so this is the good tie-in, where it's just Diana and like the people fighting, and then we have Superman Wonder Woman artist Tony S. Daniel on the book, which again is spectacular. And then you see as like they drain the powers from the people, from the meta-humans. And then we get Black Canary as Britney Spears, and I'm like, he also writes really crappy like lyrics, and then all of a sudden Damian becomes a fan of Britney Spears. And then Mongol is a fan of Britney Spears or like Taylor Swift. So I'm like, this is all like really stupid, brother. You're just emasculating and like making all of the and then we get to this. So there's no reason for there to be like Diana among the cover of Jor-El and Lara. So then we get Diana and Damian teaming up for no reason beyond the fact that King is always, I believe King at one point tried to get DC to move Diana to the Bat office. In other words, the Bat editorial office. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Is Mongol a clone or a son? Because I'll excuse that. I have no idea. So is Diana interrogating Captain Boomerang to try and find like the prison. And they're just dangling him over sharks. That's not something Diana would do. And then let's see. And then Diana is like talking to Damian, and it's like Diana's like, oh yeah, I know another thing. This is something that's really funny. When you look at the run in this issue, you should team up with Zatanna. That was Superman. In this issue, this is the funny part. So Diana says, I'm also the child of a god. No, you're not, because the clay origin is canon. They even recanted it. They even say you're in the clay origin in this run. What the hell? That completely discounts the clay origin, because now you're like, oh, he's the Zeus origin. Make up your freaking mind. And then we get, and this is just because this issue exists purely so Diana can ask Damian. So Damian can tell Diana, "You'll make a good mom someday if you ever decide to do that." And okay, this is more space stuff, but it's all just boring. F. Tom King, Bruce is not a god, and he needs to stop acting like he is. Oh, Cameron, wait till you see the other stuff this guy pulls. So here, this is where Diana teams up with Steve, and they're making out while they're trying to like save people from a prison. And then so Steve calls Diana Woman of Wonder, and then Diana calls him Man of Army. That is horrible writing. And you see, they keep making out, and then and then they do the whole Diana gets like shot, even though she has the capacity to deflect the bullets. And then she gets shot purely so I almost said Tom King. Interesting. So purely so Steve can catch her, and they can have this like leaning back kiss as people are being attacked. So it's like she's shirking her responsibility. Remember, folks, the thing about Wonder Woman and Superman is that the world always comes first. But again, you have to actually read Wonder Woman and Superman in order to actually understand the character, which King clearly hasn't. In this, in the ton of story, Lizzie actually has a lasso of death, and she threatens to use it on Batman. So of course. So then we get to Wonder Woman 14, which is supposed to be a big important issue and stuff. It's when Trinity is made, and that's the funny part about this. This issue did not flopped and got backlash, mind you. So Steve is shot, and this is the only good thing in this issue, and he's killed and then dumped. But trust me, and then Diana breaks into Steve Trevor's home and steals his American flag so she can cry into it. So she steals the American flag that goes to Steve's family just so she can cry into an American flag and have it touch the ground. By the way, King, I'm pretty sure flag code indicates that you never let the American flag touch the ground. So, the hell, bro. And then we get the fates where they weave thread and stuff. And then he's like dumped in the middle of the lake, which I'm like, okay, fine. And then everyone's like, no. And then you notice how Clark is so cold with Diana, where he's like not even touching when she's leaning on his shoulder, but Bruce is like has a hand on her knee comfortingly. And I go, bro, no. Sorry, I know you want Wonder Bat, but that doesn't work. And then you also have Grail being a like person under the control of the Sovereign. And then you have, she's still crying. She's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And then she goes, get up. You will not stay here. You sad, pathetic little girl. Stand, take a step. And then like, damn you, he is gone. And you are not. Get the hell off the floor. No, thank you. And then she's like, no. And then it's like, there's the thread for Steve. And then he sees her when he's on the river Styx, and she's crying. And then they're saying goodbye. And then Steve says, Steve says, you have to let me go. Diana says she won't. And then she uses her, she like has the two threads. She combines them. And then she uses, so King made a big deal about making the clay origin, about using the clay origin for Trinity. Except he forgot one little thing. Clay origin did not involve the contributions of man. It literally was, here's the clay origin. Hippolyta wanted a child. She sculpted it from clay, held it up to the gods, and then the gods contributed their own abilities to the child, and then the reincarnated soul of a child that was killed in the mother's womb is infused into Diana, and then she gets life. Or if you go with the Wonder Woman 2009 movie, which I grew on to, the clay thing happens. Hippolyta slits her thumb, puts blood on the child, on the mound, if you will, raises it. The gods like electrify it, and then the kid comes to life. Not, we're going to contribute like the Steve's DNA into it. That's not how you respect the clay origin. If anything, that undermines it, because it's been said that like because Diana's the clay origin, she's the perfect woman. She's not touched by man. And I'm like, let me be clear, I'm not anti-man, but I'm like, if you're going to make a big deal about the feminist nature of the clay origin, you can't undermine said nature. So then we get, remember when DC was trying to say it was going to be a secret on who the new Superwoman is, but they literally reveal it. Anyway, so then we get Diana with her child, and then the Wonder Girls attack a U.S. Navy ship. So it's an unoccupied ship, but still. And then like Diana's caring for the child, but it looks very like super villainy. Yara, the Wonder Girl of color, robs a freaking bank. Like, thanks. This doesn't look racist at all. And attacks cops. And then Trinity plays with like the lasso of truth. Donna fights Solomon Grundy and then literally guts him. And then and then we see Cheetah attacks this dude, and I go, sorry, no. Fourth princess, no, it's stupid. And then we see Diana holding Trinity and looking like a straight up supervillain. Like, look at that expression on her face. She looks like a freaking supervillain. Come, Master Bigglesworth. That's what this looks like. That's what this looks like. And then we get look at Steve in Elysium. He would not be in Elysium, but it's like Steve sees like his mother. Steve is like hunting demons in his heaven. And then we see like all these other god stuff. And then it's like, oh, Diana would be like, would be there. And then we see Steve's like people he served with. They toast him. Then it's like, what would satisfy you? Oh, it's like her. Then it's like, okay, moving on. Then we get this issue, issue 16. So the reason why this issue is stupid. So we see Diana takes Trinity to go see Hippolyta. And okay, here's the thing. This is why it's funny. Are you ready? Are you ready? It says here. Do you guys know how Detective Chimp found where the Sovereign lives? Do you guys know that? You guys know that? It was left in Steve Trevor's car, the address. That's right. When they killed Steve Trevor, and again, the Sovereign wants to remain secret, he left his address in Steve Trevor's car. Yes, that's right. Logical inconsistencies abound, my friends. And then Diana we continue to have the Sovereign talk. How does that even make sense? I don't know. Because everyone in King's books acts like idiots. They're like the humans in Alien Covenant, stupid. Diana so apparently you can just walk all the way to Olympus. And then the Sovereign is like annoyed by Detective Chimp. By the way, this whole thing exists. This whole cameo exists. So here's the thing about Tom King that you have to understand. So he had originally said that he put Detective Chimp in this book because he wants to write a Detective Chimp book, and this was his way of pitching it. But so in other words, he's showing you he'd rather be writing Detective Chimp. Then when he got backlash for it, he said, oh no, that was Bruno Redondo's idea to like include Detective Chimp, to do like a Columbo like story. So whenever he gets backlash, he dumps the blame on other people because his fragile ego is so fragile that he wants to think he's God's gift to comics when if anything, he's the complete opposite. And then we see Cersei gets her ass beat by Detective Chimp and the Spectre. And then Diana meets Hippolyta, and then Hippolyta uses language like grandma and stuff, which that's not the way that she would talk. And then also the Sovereign talks to a journalist. Yes, that's right. The Sovereign talks to a freaking journalist. He talks to Clark Kent. Every time. And then there's like the secret history of the Sovereign. And it's like, again, it's like everyone talks about the Sovereign. This is supposed to be a secret society. And yet, everyone talks. Isn't that interesting? Then we get to Wonder Woman 17. Okay, good. Where Diana is... So while everyone else... Because here's the thing. When King created the Sovereign, his idea was he wanted to create Wonder Woman's Joker. And the problem with that is that then he has Diana barely faces the Sovereign. So that should tell you something. And it's like, instead, the Wonder Girls do all the fighting for her. While Diana, we don't know what's going on yet, but Diana has a little art project she's working on. And look at Grail. She's doing the will of the Sovereign. Isn't that interesting? And then we have Donna is like fighting Gigantic and goes, grow, bitch. And I go, again, everyone is cursing up a storm in Tom King's books, and it's so stupid. And then Diana is pulling a rock up a like mountain. Why would you bring your child to this? But that's a problem for another issue. Diana gets, Yara fights Silver Swan. And then obviously beats her. This is the way of Diana of like taking care of Sovereign's lackeys because King is too lazy to do it himself. They notice how Trinity has a Batman toy instead of a Wonder Woman toy. It's the first thing, because King is trying his hardest to make Trinity a a Batman character. More on that when I get to his Trinity series, because I'm also going to talk about the Trinity mini series, which in and of itself is straight up offensive. And Angleman in his underwear fights Cassie. Okay. Again, this app sometimes has issues loading, like decent loading speeds. And Diana had made a literal statue to Steve Trevor. That's what she was doing while the Wonder Girls were hanging out, were putting their lives at risk for her. For her. I'm sorry, that is stupid. And also it implies, also in the previous issue, it implies that Diana was not finding the Sovereign for 52 days. So I'm like, that's stupid. And then it turns out the Sovereign's in the White House. So, oh boy. This is not going to turn out bad at all. So this was issue 18. Oh boy. Okay, then no, now we're on issue 18. Oh boy. Oh boy, does this get fun. So Diana's in Washington now. Angleman has a thing for Donna, right? Yeah. And I think they even like fell in love in and I think it was either Burns' run or Rucka's run. I forget which one. Actually, it was Jimenez. It was Jimenez. So by the way, so King makes it so like the Justice League easily repaired the Washington Monument. So it's a way of like downplaying the fact that it was built by slaves. So great job, man. It's like he can't even do anything right in this run. And we waste time seeing her just walk across the street. We see her about to storm the White House because that's relevant. And then look, Grail is like the bodyguard, and then she's attacked by like by like all the other people. And then this is the one time the story makes any logical choice with the Wonder Girls babysitting Trinity while Diana goes to war. And then we see Diana fights Silver. By the way, a common theme throughout this entire run is that Diana never shows any concern for the Amazons being killed. She only cares about Steve Trevor. This is the first time she references the Amazons being killed. And then they basically do it. We're like, oh, the Flash saved all of them. So I'm like, why didn't you do that to begin with? So then we get this character named General Glory who literally beats Diana with the American flag. And then Diana all of a sudden is like, I won't let you sully. She goes, when you fall, I will not see that great symbol fall with you. You literally were holding an American flag on the ground. Hello? And she punches these characters, and then she re-erects the American flag. And then she, with my Steven, by the way, I only know it was what they call me when I first came to this good country with my Steven. No, it's like, okay, Wonder Woman, but by the Pits of Apocalypse, what is that? It's like all that stuff. And then we see Diana they set up a rematch, and then Cheetah can somehow fight Grail, the daughter of Darkseid. No, Cheetah cannot fight the daughter of Darkseid. Luffy says, again, it needs to be emphasized that these are literal sisters and family. They raised her and she doesn't care about them dying out all in the run. Yeah, she walks into the White House. And this was the preview for Absolute Flash, by the way. Great book. I'm enjoying it very much so. The Absolute run is the only thing that's redeeming people here. So then we get Wonder Woman 19. This is the issue. So fun fact. This is the issue that came out when I started the King Off Wonder Woman hashtag. Like it was this month that it came out. And this is why it first blew up. Cheetah's solo on the jail, bro. She beat up Supes and Flash 2 times. I don't believe that. She sold the Justice League. Yeah, it's like, let me put it this way. I don't buy that. That doesn't really. Well, it's like New 52 is a different thing. And also, Grail beat the entire Justice League when she first showed up. So that's a different thing with that, NJ. Grail showed up and defeated Flash, Shazam, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. That's your true power level. Don't downplay her, please. Again, no, I'm not. But it's like when you look at Grail in her first appearance, she took out the entire Justice League in the New 52. I'm just saying. So then we get, Trinity's giving birth. Oh, and by the way, did you know that this entire time when the Sovereign is telling the story, he has not once been wrapped in the lasso of truth like he should have been? So Trinity has the lasso of truth and she never wraps it around him. And I go, bro, that is dumb as hell. Then we get Diana. So she just wraps him in the lasso of truth. What? You're interrogating someone known for lying and you don't wrap them in the lasso of truth? Anyway, then you see more about like, let me see this. Hey, you thought disguising your true intentions here with bravado and arrogance. But so here's the thing. She is Wonder Woman's nemesis. She should be that powerful to kill the entire league. Cheetah. Okay, that's fine, but it's like, again, you have another character that's augmented by Apocalypse and then fought the entire Justice League. I'm just saying. So here's the story that King tries to do for his future story. So the Amazons all got wiped out, including Diana. This was this was not just the issue heard around the world. So this is that dagger. So here's what happened. Diana enters the Oval Office. And then Sovereign immediately folds and goes, please, please, please. And then I'm going to read you this dialogue. Mother, I beseech you once more. My love is dead. His murderer stands before me. It is time. This is my fury. You notice how she only talks about Steve. She doesn't talk about, I don't know, the Amazons that were killed by the Sovereign. And then at the same time, this is the first time we saw Edda, by the way. And then we see Emily is giving birth to the matriarch. More on that later. And Diana makes the Sovereign take off his shirt and carve the word liar onto his chest. That's right. Diana, Wonder Woman, forces her villain to commit self-harm. Does King have any idea how much of a sensitive issue it is when people cut themselves? Do you have any idea how offensive that is? Never mind the fact that Diana would never force a villain to carve the word liar onto her chest, even if Steve had just died. Okay? That would never happen. No wonder this issue flopped harder than a man with erectile dysfunction. And then we see the matriarch, which will be the character that will kill Wonder Woman. We get Absolute Green Lantern, and then Absolute Green Lantern tease. And now we're going to get to Wonder Woman 20. This is the issue where the Bat worship blows up. So there's a murder on Olympus. And with that dagger, Ares is killed. And to investigate a murder, Wonder Woman doesn't turn to Cassie. Even I hope he doesn't get to tell the matriarch story. Yeah, me too. But so here's the thing. Literally in the previous run, the last major story arc that Clunrad got to do was Trial of the Amazons. Whatever you think about that story, I know NJ is going to agree with me on this. No matter what you think about with the story, they had Cassie be the one to solve the murder. And in this one, just because King wants to write Batman, because he's pissy that his Batman run got shut down, he forces Batman into the story. So Batman shows up. And Wonder Woman routinely punches the Greek gods and doesn't care about blasphemy, even though she so would. And then here's the interesting thing. So Zeus talks about Batman. He goes, "You know me?" He goes, "There are men, there are gods, and there is Batman." I'm sorry, no, that is horrible. That is one of the worst things you can do. You're making a Wonder Woman story all about Batman. And then it's essentially they make a bargain that if Diana can solve the murder in 24 hours, her mother will get set free. So then they interrogate all of the gods, and Diana routinely angrily punches the gods and commits blasphemy because she doesn't care. She even says, I don't care. Let's go. I'm so tired of the Batman glazing. Oh, trust me. Aphrodite glazes Batman. I want to be clear on that. And then we get Batman is struck by lightning by Zeus, and Batman's out of commission. And he talks about how like Batman knew that like Steve Trevor was like the most important thing to Diana, and he's like, because Diana loves him more than the entire world. And I go, that is not true. That is horrible. Batman fanboys always show this image. They're insufferable. Yeah, exactly. This is why, you know, it's kind of hilarious. If I wrote this run, I would do the opposite of this and like prove that like everyone's like, why should I be intimidated by Batman? That'd be great. So then Hippolyta talks very plainly. He goes, men are either above you or below you. Everything else is just play. Diana would, Hippolyta would never think that, a-hole. And Diana stabs Hephaestus through the hand, even though Hephaestus was a friend to Diana because he's trying to interrogate them. And look at how evil she looks with that like shadow over her eyes. I'm like, bro, again, it's more Steve Trevor glazing. And then Diana routinely commits sacrilege, even when she goes to fight she fights who is it? She fights yes, it is blasphemy. Now ask me if I care. She's fighting the guards for Bacchus. And it's like, she goes, yes, I know this is blasphemy, but I don't care. They make Hippolyta some drunk floozy. Yeah, exactly. Because that's the only way King is able to write this. They actually allow something disgusting. I know. This is why if I was brought on to write Wonder Woman, I would tell DC, you have to let me retcon this run. This has done damage to her entire world. You have to let me retcon this completely out. Nothing from this is salvageable. So then you get, yes, thank you. She beats up she screams in the face of all of the gods. You people steal my Steven and threaten me with melancholy. I am in hell. She screams in the face of the gods and makes it all about Steve Trevor. And then she beats up Hephaestus. And it turns out it was Zeus. Because Ares was supposed to be made like a hero at this point. But King retcons it where Ares out of nowhere was like, I've done horrible things. Oh my gosh, I killed people. I've done horrible things. Like that's why he killed. That's why Zeus killed him, because he was less of a man. And I go, bro, I know you probably have some PTSD from what you did in the CIA, but don't force it onto characters where it doesn't work. And then we have the hand-holding part. God. So that's issue 21. So that was the end of the Batman prelude, and by this thing flopped. Then we get issue 22, which was the introduction of the Mouseman arc, and this is taking place. Sure, Hephaestus is her brother. They have a good relationship. She would never punch him or torture him. Yeah, exactly. And so Diana and Steve had slept together, and then Steve's like, hey, completely no big deal, but that was the best night of my life. Maybe we could get some coffee if you're free. It's like, yeah, I had a good life, but I'm with Wonder Woman. This is great. And then it's like Diana's fighting giant mice, and it's like, Steven, stay back. She goes, I'm coming. I'm going to help. I'm going to shoot it. Don't shoot the mouse. They make Steve an idiot. This is not good art, by the way. Good facial structure, by the way. It makes Diana kind of look like a man. And somehow he has gotten into the White House, even though that probably would not work. Like, look at the way Diana looks. And then Mouseman takes over, and then Diana just takes him out easily. And then Diana and Steve go on a date, and then we get more of the Sovereign. And then, continuing on, I sped through that issue because that's about all the value it contributes. Why is this freezing? Okay. Then we get issue 23, the first issue of this Mouseman arc. Oh, boy. We're almost done with this issue. with this batch, because we're gonna do even the Sovereign. We're gonna do even the Trinity series. We're gonna cover literally everything. So then we get the Mouse Man arc. It begins with we're in the Mouse Man thing, and everything the Mouse Man thing says is Mouse Man knows, mice have ears. And then you have like on the Justice League Watchtower, what's the word? Stephanie meets Wonder Woman, and then it's like I don't know if you recognize me, but it's like I'm Stephanie, and then he goes, yes, I remember you. Like they met before. Then everything they say is Mouse Man knows. You could have made this a freaking quiet issue. Also here it's like, oh, we can't actually invade because the UN said we can't because it's a binding resolution. We're under the UN. I go, that wasn't established. So it's like the Justice League are willingly allowing people to be oppressed, mind you. So I'm like, that's not a thing. And it's like, again, it's more with this stupid mouse have ears thing. And I'm like, what the hell, man? It's like they keep doing the Diana working out thing. And this is all oppressive. This could have been done with like a quiet issue. And then Superman and Batman are talking to Wonder Woman about going into like the area. And this is the other thing that's like Diana going, Aphrodite was right. You are cute. And I go, oh, go to hell. And then here, she's about to be, this kid's about to be beaten up by this caveman. And then Diana kind of saves him. Saves him by like taking him out. And then, okay, that's really cool. Now you may be wondering, why did Diana bring her child into a war zone? Yeah, why would she do that? It's because King needs to, because remember, when King continues his story, it's going to be the idea that the child gets kidnapped. We'll get to that point. So that's what you need. It's like, will the child survive? Hey, asshole, we saw the future of this story. There's no stakes here. So then we skip Worlds Collide. And we get this issue. By the way, I hate the braid. And Diana's trying to talk to the kid, but the kid can only say Mouse Man knows. And then she's like, what? And then you can see that like Diana's like, my daughter is very fussy and stuff. So she's caring for her daughter. Or is that all you're allowed to say? And you look at Mouse Man, he looks like he's from the village people. And then we see like she's traveling throughout the land. She fights a giant rat. Or fighting of a giant rat. And then we see, now some people can actually talk and stuff, but I'm like, okay, that's not like a thing. And then Diana does the whole Mouse Man knows thing, and mice have ears to like be allowed to walk by. And then Diana's holding her baby. Zampire's downfall in this run needs to be studied. Yeah, exactly. So Diana is holding her baby like this. She charges at gunfire with her baby front and center, almost like she's using her baby as a shield. And notice no one ever aims to the side here to hit the kid that she's holding in front of her as she's charging into gunfire. Then she fights all these mouse soldiers. What does Mouse Man know? Nothing. And then there's Mouse Man working out in some BS. And then continuing on, Wonder Woman 25, first appearance of the matriarch. Oh boy, this is going to be so much fun. So in this, we see the matriarch killing Batman. And then we see Wonder Woman again talking to like these people. And then she's rescued by the cat people. Yes, there's a civil war going on the Isle of Mice and Men because it's like the cat people and those people. And then Martian Manhunter is burned at the stake. And then Diana is like dives underwater with her baby still attached to her. And then the baby emerges. That kid is either drowned or her immune system creates like a massive infection. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. And then Green Arrow gets killed by Sovereign. You could put Steve Rogers' cap in the story and it would have worked. This story, no. Sovereign story, yes. And we see this cat guy who goes, oh, poor child, you heal Will. You heal to Will. So this person doesn't even know how to talk. And I'm like, this is stupid. Then we see mice eating people. Hawkman just gives up and stands on the edge of a building and lets someone push him, which I'm sorry, that's not the way Mouse Man would die. He would go out charging towards the speaker, and he just falls. And then we see Diana going, I'm a coward. Steve died. I'm uncouth. I am unmoored. Oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person. Oh my gosh, I miss you, Steve. That's what this sounds like. That's what this sounds like. Why not this one? Because this story does not, because with Captain America, that normally involves stories dealing with like a secret society running America or like the problems of America. Not necessarily this. I see what you're doing. I mean, I see what you're saying, and you could like stretch it and it could work, but not this. In my opinion, not this one. Then you have Aquaman is taken out, and then Wonder Woman shows up with these guards, takes them out, and goes, okay, so where's the house? Point me in the direction of the house I'm supposed to find, even though the house is directly behind them. And then there's the Superman getting killed, but it's by being deprived by sunlight, even though there's some light there. And then Diana goes in, and then we meet the matriarch. People don't give up on King. Well, the run is collapsing. So I would say that the run is not selling well. Then we see the matriarch. She runs America and Themyscira. She has a Legion flight ring, a Green Lantern ring that didn't fly away. And then it's established that it's Emily's daughter. Look, it's the matriarch. You know, her costume looks like some BDSM BS. So so that's that series. But guess what? We're going to discuss Wonder Woman 26. Yes, I had to read. So this is all about the story of the Mouse Man. And this is like, someone goes, there's always a crisis. So why don't we go to like an island we can be away from the superheroes? And notice here's Mouse Man, like stroking his mouse. They go on a ship, and look, he has like an entire cage of mice. It's like, oh, mice are like my favorite things. It's like, mice are my favorite. It's like he's Buddy the Elf. They find the island, and then it's Wonder Woman had finally left her kid with people she just met, mind you, and she sees Mouse Man. She goes, I'm not afraid of Mouse Man. And then she takes out a mouse, and then DC Left says, totally don't care about the writing of this run, just Sam Perry's art. If he's not drawing, I don't bother. I honestly, I wouldn't pick up this run, period. I dropped it at issue 19. And then you have, let's see. Let me do this. Okay. Oh, and it dropped the banner. I don't know why StreamYard does that. She kicks a rat. Then we see Mouse Man looking like he's in the Village People. And if you notice, so back in the past, Mouse Man's on the porch. His mouse keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger without any explanation. It's as big as a dog. And then there's this guy, because they notice that like there's like crime that's happening here because there's no heroes. And then Mouse Man shows up again. Look at this. Look at this. He looks like looks like he's in a bad Wonder Woman porno. That's what he looks like, okay? Wonder Woman throws her tiara, and then he shatters it. And then this is where I know that Sampera's gotten kind of lazy. If you look at like these three panels, Diana's in the exact same pose. Like everything's exactly the same except Mouse Man's position. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't look at him. It's like everything is the exact same image, copy pasted 3 times. And then Mouse Man just crosses behind Diana. That's it. And then he goes, ee, ee! And then she goes to punch him. And then Diana, and he's able to headbutt Wonder Woman. And he goes, no, thank you. And I go, just stop. And then he takes a bath of rats. And it looks like he's orgasming in that bath. Why is Wonder Woman fighting Mouse Man? What was King's pitch? Like, what would improve Wonder Woman sales? Mouse Man. At least with Mouse Man, it's like a Wonder Woman, an established Wonder Woman villain that's like from the past. But even with that, it still doesn't work. That because like, look at the way he's writing it. Look at this image, because this one, again, I said there's always an image that like people latch onto as to why this series is crappy. And look at this. This shows Mouse Man is stronger than Clark. Yeah, exactly. He's stronger than Superman. My OC reinvention of this villain is the strongest one there is. Look at that. Isn't that funny? Cringe, I know, right? And he's orgasming in the tub. And then she fights him. He goes, "Oh, a fat cat woman telling the little guy what he can do." And I go, "Bro, that doesn't work." And then it turns out, and then everyone says Mouse Man knows, and this was the whole thing about the story. And apparently, abusing your kids leads them saying Mouse Man knows. So what does this? If King is like, I write a lot about my own home life in this, what does this say about your home life? And then they kidnap Trinity. And I'm like, can they swap the kid in with a demon kid? So now let's go into the Trinity special first. Because, oh boy. So what DC lazily did for this, let me make sure, is this the one that I want to talk about specifically? No, actually, I don't have to talk about this. Yay. Because guess what? This was literally just a reprint of the Trinity series. King tried to make Mouse Man a threat, but failed spectacularly, as he does with everything in this run. So let me go to here, because there's one thing that I want to make sure I touch on. Actually, it should be in this. Hang on. Where is the punch? Okay, I'm going to find this. Hang on for 1 sec while we talk about that. This one-shot flopped hard. Yeah, exactly, because no one cares about Trinity. That's what he's got to realize. Nobody cares about this character. This is why no one of import is going to care if like this thing gets retconned out of continuity, which I wouldn't be surprised if eventually that happens, because King's characters and stories are always retconned out. So here's this. So this is a reprint of Trinity stuff, but like what they did here, totally don't care about Trinity. I get annoyed every time she shows up in the earlier issues. Nothing about it was all enticing. Oh, and by the way, she's called Trinity because some YouTubers suggested the name. And I go, this is why you shouldn't pay attention to what YouTubers say, brother. All right. This will always be the legacy of Trinity. And honestly, this following story is why I did this stream, because I want to remind people of this. And I'll probably post a clip of this on my Twitter and Instagram so people can know what happened here. So we're showing here, this is like paralleling Diana doing the bullets and bracelets training. So let me do this. So I'm going to read to you the dialogue from their moms. So Hippolyta and Diana say, "You have survived the gauntlet of golden guilt. You have withstood the 12 lamentations of the Furies. You have triumphed in 101 tournaments, shown your skill to be matchless among Amazons." He goes, "Yes, my queen. Yes, my queen." And he goes, "The gods have favored you, my daughter. May they continue to bless you on this day, your holy day of trial. And if they do not, let your spirit rest with your sisters as you share their fate and grave." This is not what the contest is. And now we shall, you, Diana, what is it? I don't understand. Is there a problem? "Are you certain, Lizzie, you have prepared? This is no game. Lead does not fly like rubber. If you miss, the bullet will tear you. I do not have Clark's powers. I cannot outrun them." Yes, you can. "You must be ready." And then this is Diana. He goes, "My queen, I am not some child who needs to be lectured on the consequences of her actions for the 37th time. I am Amazon. I have earned this medal with my own blood spilled on this very field of contest. You do not understand what I have done. The women who stood where you stand yelling those same words. And listen, as I pulled the trigger and I saw them make an attempt, and later when I prayed over their bodies, I saw so Hippolyta killed fellow Amazons. Oh my God, I forgot about this. Oh. Okay. This is interesting. Somehow this run got worse as more you reread it. Wow. She goes, you command me to fire? I can't. And then this is the thing. Wait, is this thing? Yeah. Okay. So what would you have me do? Shall I seek out a wet nurse to feed me and swaddle me and sing me to sleep of tales of warriors I can never be? I struggled for years. I crawled, I walked, I ran. This is mine, just as it once was yours. You will not understand, child. When I first went to trial, I had served in the Sand Wars, was wounded twice at Harpy's Bay, led Thunder Riders to victory. There were moments of elated triumph and horrifying defeat. My heart had been broken, my body shattered. I was not just tested, I was reborn. My parents, not only tears and hope. Whether to rise to my duty to fight, it was not a choice I could make. It was a burden for me alone to make. When I was your age, I was so much older than you are. So here we go. Bro, this confirms King of Syria clue about what Wonder Woman's power level is. Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. So, Diana and Trinity go. That is a fine story, Mother, but this time for stories is past. Is the hours of bracelets and bullets, and I will not have your weakness interrupt this ceremony. You were older at my age, wonderful, but all this means is that when I was your age, I will be younger than you are now. Okay? Also, Diana and Trinity punch their mothers in the frickin' face. That is right. Diana punched her mom in the face, which she would never do. And Trinity does the same thing. You want me to like this character and she does this? That's what you want to show? Oh, teenage rebellion. A, Diana never had that. It's well established what her childhood was like. And B, you want me to like Trinity even though she punches her mom in the face and then engages in all the other stuff I've shown this entire stream? And then you have Hippolyta talk about she killed fellow Amazons. And then we get the contest. We get the bullets and bracelets. And this is very... it's kind of interesting how Trinity's with a gravestone here, isn't it? Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? So that's the Generation Ash. So as you guys know, Trinity has her own mini-series, and Britt and I have talked about it. So let's talk about the Trinity mini-series. Are you ready? So it opens up during Christ. By the way, this is the series that's about fathers and daughters. Trinity, daughter of Wonder Woman. So Trinity is chasing Corgi John through Crisis on Infinite Earths, and she encounters Pariah and makes fun of his trauma, seeing all the different worlds collapse. So Trinity is mocking other people that have gone through PTSD scenarios. And then you see Trinity is sad. And it's like, stop swelling on drama. You're the daughter of Wonder Woman. Try and start acting like it. And she goes through the journey. She goes, I mean, some people call me Wonder Robin. No one calls you that. And you're not Wonder Girl. So stop it. And then it's like, she goes, I'm trying to find the father thing. And she goes, then it's like, you'll understand better this better if we're against that permission. You're so cool. Oh my gosh, yeah. And he goes, oh yes, I'm super. I'm sad because my daddy died. I don't have a daddy, and I want to have one. And you're gonna make it better. It's like all of this is about Steve Trevor. Isn't that funny? And then we see Steve has somehow broken out of the underworld. And by the way, look at the statue of Steve Trevor and Diana. look at the statue that has Diana as arm candy for Steve Trevor. She's like on him like this. And I go, I'm sorry, that would never, no Amazon is going to make that statue. And if you're trying to show me that like this was a horribly designed statue, like horribly designed, I'm sorry, it is crappily done, and it just undermines Diana. And then so Diana, so Trinity again mocks Pariah. Then she leaves to go find the corgis. And when you learn that Steve Trevor has taken out the like fates, and thoughts on Steve beating the fates. Yeah. By the way, that's not Marine Corps camo. I just want to give you guys that indicator. That's not the camo the United States Marine Corps employs. So you got that wrong, Ortega. And then with this, it's like, Steve being the fates is the stupidest thing in the world. You're trying to make Steve like the greatest thing ever because King has a real hard on for Steve Trevor. Like, I know you have strong feelings for Steve Trevor, but how about you go? You know why he's doing it here? Because he knows no one would buy a Steve Trevor book, so he has to force it into a Wonder Woman book. I'm like, no. It's like even with Superman stories, it's very rare that you'll get like Lois being the dominant character. And then this is the Batman part. Trinity meets Jason Todd, and they share a little romance. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So he tries to make Trinity more of like a Batman character. And it's like they have this whole adventure together. And then it's implied that they have a crush on each other. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And it's just more Batman worship. Isn't that dumb as hell? Even though Jason Todd is her senior at this point, and because of time travel, it doesn't work. Yeah, look at that. It doesn't work because through time travel, it still doesn't look any better than grooming. Let me put it to you that way. So thanks. You turned Jason Todd into a groomer. And then look at this. This was supposed to be the special tribute to George Perez. You notice what's kind of funny about this? The George Perez is like Hippolyta and all the gods in the background. And this shows how superficial Trinity is. She only has Diana and Steve. And then we see like, we see Perez Diana fighting a corgi Cerberus, which that's not what Cerberus looks like. And then it's like Diana gets eaten by Cerberus. So they have to go back in time and keep saving like, oh, and she goes, a crap on a tiara. And he goes, I'm sorry, what is on a what? Diana's heard the word crap before because she's encountered Steve Trevor at this point. And Diana gets eaten by Cerberus. And then Steve Trevor has to like, all a dog needs is love. And then it's like Steve Trevor gives Diana a pep talk. And yeah. Oh, and also Trinity punches Steve. So guess what? It's like, oh, it's interesting how like you keep having Trinity beat up her parents. Isn't that fun? And then she keeps trying to save her. And then, so in the first time that Diana has encountered Trinity, you make it a joke. You make it a joke issue. That is straight up offensive. And you might as well just start calling the book The Daughter of Steve Trevor because that's what you're doing. Oh, and then Steve Trevor beats up Chiron the Boatman to imply that like that he's going to come back. And then we get to the wedding special issue. This is the most recent one because I think there's 2 more issues that are coming out next week next month, I want to say, because it was delayed 7 weeks. So this is during like the lead up to the wedding between Batman and Catwoman, and somehow they make it so. Oh, Alfred also feels that like Steve Trevor is like a fantastic man, and I go that when Alfred has never encountered Steve Trevor. So then you get like it's like with the Wonder Robin, Diana. I wonder why I keep saying Diana. Lizzie is bonding with Alfred, and then Steve trying to like come back, and it's like no, it's just like stupid. After all this time, I felt very enjoying my brief time with your Elizabeth's company. I felt young again. It's like, oh, right. And then this is funny. So she chases the Damon Corgi through the Wayne Manor until she finds Selena, which Selena was not getting prepared in the Wayne Manor, so you should know that. And then Steve meets another person there. Selena, of all people, is a better mother than Diana. I know, exactly. And it's like she goes, I'm gonna do. Let me. Yeah, you have to learn at some point how to do makeup, and Lord knows Diana won't teach you. And I'm like, Diana isn't like. So here's the thing about Diana. She's fine with women expressing themselves in any way they want to, whether or not that is like through like makeup or anything like that. So Diana does not have this religious zeal against makeup. And I'm like, bro, none of this is accurate to who Diana is as a person. But I guess you have to actually care about Wonder Woman to actually have an accurate Wonder Woman thing. And you see, look, now you can have your tiara. It's a Catwoman tiara because Catwoman's a better mother for Trinity than Diana is. And then they stumble into the Bat Cave. And I'm like, none of this happens, and it's all stupid. And then this is just more with Alfred. And then Steve is like saying it's impossible for me to come back. But it's like nothing's impossible. It's like someone's going to, that's what they're setting up. It's like they're going to try and bring Steve back. And I'm like, no. So that is all of Tom King's Wonder Woman. Literally everything from Wonder Woman 800. That's like 2 years worth of Wonder Woman content. And I think I have PTSD just from that because that was brutal. It's like I keep discovering new things. By the way, I'm gonna tell I need to tell Britt and Jid that did you know that King had Hippolyta in the issue? I'm actually gonna do a tweet on that, but yeah, that bringing Hippolyta back instead of pathetic losers. Can he please just move on? James Gunn, give him more art. Cameron, here's the thing. How did DC not see the red flags? Because his editor is a close friend of his. Brittany is a close friend of his and runs interference for him. It's like Brittany doesn't care because it's like when Leah Williams was on Power Girl, she was like, Leah, to her credit, asked, hey, what should I be reading so I know like where Power Girl is as a character? So Brittany said, no, you know what? Just do whatever you want with the character. King is supposedly James Gunn's favorite writer. Well, here's the thing. King has indicated that he's going to leave the run soon. And it's like, what's interesting is like, because of the DCU workload. So ironically, King giving him more work actually Gunn giving him more work has actually saved us. Isn't that ironic? That is very, very, very ironic. But yeah, so what questions do you guys have about the King Wonder Woman run? I'll do a little Q&A real quick. DCU is our savior. I know. Isn't it ironic that we complained for years about Gunn not doing anything with Wonder Woman, but it turns out his biggest contribution was giving DCU was giving King work, thus making it impossible for him to work on this. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to take screen because I need to include that part of the issue where King has Diana has Hippolyta confess that. Okay, here we go. I want to do this because I want to be able to like say that like, oh yeah, Hippolyta confessed to killing Amazons. Just want to bring that up, and then I'll just take a screenshot of this. There you go. Poor DCU. Yep. Well, you know what? Wonder Woman has been getting the worst treatment for years. So you know what? I'm fine with other characters getting taken down a peg. Only downside is that at the expense of Lanterns. Yeah, but I'd rather not be at the expense of Wonder Woman. I gotta say. Do you think DCKO will reboot everything? Maybe King's Realm will just be wiped out. I do think, and Britt and I have talked about this many times on Super Wonder. I think because the sales aren't good. If you look at like Scott Snyder trying to like to like go, oh my gosh, we're in so celebration about this run like selling. It's like about DCKO selling. Here's the thing. They use the blind bags gimmick. So of course people are going to buy it. No one's excited for this fighting story. And then when are they kicking him off the book? Likely, I would say mid 2026 is when I say they kick him off. Let me put it this way. I think he gets 30 to 40 issues. That's when they kick him off, because again, he has said that like the DCU workload, which he clearly cares more about because King is adapting a lot of his books, is taking up more work, is taking up more of his time than he thinks, than he thought it would. So he wants to focus his efforts on DCU, which I'm like, yes, do it. Also, support the living hell out of the 2 issues by Stephanie Williams. Yes. So Stephanie Williams is doing 2 fill-in issues. And I get the feeling it's while King figures out, like, because I think the next arc after that is going to be the last one. So that's going to be interesting. But it's like, that's probably to give King time to like formulate the ending. But it's like, support that issue. I pre-ordered Wonder Woman 29. I have to pre-order the next one for sure, Wonder Woman 30, because again, Stephanie Williams, and you know what? It's not Tom King. We get a little vacation. Probably won't be Sempera though. No, it's not Sempera for sure. And here's the thing: we lose King on the run, we lose Sempera. He's not going to be on the book anymore. Which I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of happy because Sempera, it looks like he gave up. It really looks like he gave up. Yeah, Stephanie is one of the few who cares about Diana and Wonder Lore. Yeah, exactly. I'd rather have her than King. What other questions do you guys have about this? But my preferred option, which is safest, is Kelly. Yeah, exactly. It's like that could very well happen because of the success of Absolute. They could at least offer it to her. What other writers could actually do Wonder Woman justice in Johnny Rears? Well, Kelly Thompson for one thing, because she has this must have been painful. Dave, you have no idea. But in terms of writers, I'm gonna get some options. Hang on. Let me get some options here. Okay. Let's see. Yes. Yes, I would say. All right, here are some options of who I think could bring writers in, readers in. G. Willow Wilson. She already has a bunch of notoriety, good notoriety, because of her like Poison Ivy run. So there's that. Mariko Tamaki, which I really enjoyed her Lords and Liars like arc of Wonder Woman. I found it very enjoyable. Kelly Thompson, obviously, because of Absolute Wonder Woman, she has demonstrated her profound understanding of Diana and her world. So there's that. Honestly, Stephanie Phillips, because what Stephanie did in the Nubia series, which I really like, is she significantly expanded on like what Amazonian culture is, what the Doom's doorway guard thing is, and it's like went through like even Medusa's story, and it's like all of the Amazon like lore that you may have had questions about and didn't know the answers to. So there's that. And then Phil Jimenez. I say Phil Jimenez. Yannick Paquette's art, it's okay. I'm not against it. And by Phil Jimenez, because his Wonder Woman run is goated. It is honestly very enjoyable, and it's a worthy successor to George Perez. I'm just going to put my books away real quick while you guys put some more questions in the chat. This goes here. I have all these in a specific order in my Wonder library. Make sure Wonder Woman doesn't fall over. Al Ewing. I think Al Ewing could do a fun idea with it. He's doing a lot with Thor that people are very much enjoying. There's like a lot that you could go with that type of character, by the way. In terms of the writer that I would definitely not have, Grant Morrison. 100% do not let Grant Morrison write Wonder Woman. He did a horrible job with Earth 1, at least near the end. PKJ, I don't know. Could I see him doing that? I mean, he does do a lot of like those like he got his like start at DC doing like a lot of like sword and sorcery books. So I'm like, okay, I could kind of see that happening really well, in him being a good writer for Diana. But yeah, so what other questions do you guys have about this run? Because this is like, this was PTSD inducing for me. But what else, you guys? Is there anything positive about it? The art in the beginning of the run, but then even that went downhill real fast. So really, Dave, gonna have to say no. I'm gonna have to really say there really isn't anything positive about this run, because so much of this is demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding. James Tinian too. Okay, yeah, but yeah, he had vertigo, so there was that. But yeah, he did an interesting Wonder Woman with the what's the word, with Justice League Dark. But yeah, so what other questions do you guys have? Jason Fabok, Aaron Lepresti. For artists, either of those would work great, particularly Aaron Lepresti, because again, he has experience writing, drawing Wonder Woman, and I really like his art. If I'm talking about and Jason Fabok, I would love that, but he's exclusive to Ghost Machine right now. He respected the hell out of Cersei and made her a huge threat again. Yeah, exactly, with all those guys. Is there a worse Wonder Woman writer, or who is the second worst? No, there's no worse Wonder Woman writer than King. Second, honestly, I want to say Denny O'Neil, but I understand from a story perspective why he was doing what he did with that character. So I'm not necessarily against some of what he did in Wonder Woman, because they had to find some way to creatively reboot the character. Granted, it screwed up with with a lot of that in terms of Wonder Woman, but it's he screwed up a lot of Wonder Woman lore. But I'm okay, it's not overly horrible. Let me put it to you that way. At least I don't think it is. Jodie Picoult. I have no idea who that is. Is that her name? Let me see. Jodie. She's a writer, but I'm let me see if she's a comics writer. Okay, so she wrote a Wonder Woman book. Let me see. Okay, so she did do Wonder Woman. Okay, that works. That's interesting. Interesting. So she did write Wonder Woman. That's interesting. She did write Wonder Woman back in the day. It was awful. Yeah. What would your first reaction be if Tom King announces the writer of the DC Wonder Woman film? I'd be like, well, I know which movie I'm going to drag the most, and that'll be the first time I would hope that the Wonder Woman run legit flops. So, okay. Now, before we move on and stuff, I want to, by the way, her Diana didn't know how to pump gas. Oh, that's where that comes from. Okay. But yeah, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to play the trailer for Athena, the Goddess of Thunder, my comic. The link to back it is in the description, and it's pinned in the chat. So if you guys can, go ahead and back it, or share it to anyone that you think would be interested. But here is the trailer.
My home has been invaded, my people slaughtered, and I could not do anything to stop it. Not again. I will not lose another home, another family. I am Princess Lyra of the planet Sintragar, Athena, the goddess of thunder, and this is my story.
Well, here's the other thing, Dave. He's not writing the current Wonder Woman book movie that's in development, because It's the lady that wrote the Supergirl movie that's writing it. So if Supergirl is good, then guess what? That means we could get like a good Wonder Woman, like it would lead to like some fun stuff. It would lead if the Supergirl movie is good, and we should be praying for that Supergirl movie to be good now, that would lead to like her that would be an indicator of how good the movie's going to be. Yeah, and yes, exactly. There's like, who knows at this point? Personally, I would want more important stories with Giganta as an ally and a team up, like in Wilson's run. I always loved that dynamic. Yeah, but she went back to being a villain, so it's like it wasn't really where like she was redeemed. Don't want to be a downer, but I'm not hopeful about the Supergirl movie. I know, but it's like I kind of want to be like a little bit more of like a optimist when it comes to at least some of this stuff. If it's good, okay, cool. If it's bad, oh boy. But I might as well just give it a shot at the very least and see if it really impresses me, because it could really impress me. That'd be really fun. But who knows at this point? Who really knows? But so what other final questions do you guys have before I log off for the day? It's basically it's based on you know whose book, just saying, yeah, but he's not writing it. So it could be that like she makes the story actually presentable. It doesn't matter, be her hero or her friend for a few days. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I would support that. I would definitely support that. It does, but it's like overall, yeah. Do you trust Anna for a Wonder Woman movie? I need to see how she writes the Supergirl movie, because if I enjoy the Supergirl movie, then yes. But if the Supergirl movie is also horrible, then no. So it's hyper dependent on that. The only way Supergirl doesn't flop is if Memora brings all those thirsty wine-ons. Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see for sure. But anyway, I think that is a good place to leave it. Yeah, I went for 2 hours reviewing this crappy run. So now, whenever anyone wants to whenever anyone asks you why do you hate the King Wonder Woman run so much, just give them this live stream, the replay for this live stream, and hopefully that will like explain it perfectly well, so everyone can like understand why the Wonder Woman fan base has wholesale rejected this shit show. We need a cleansing stat. Oh, don't worry. We'll have some fun stuff coming out this week, such as the next couples comparison that Britt and I are doing is this Saturday. It's going to be live, and we're going to be comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to Thor and Sif / Thor and Jane Foster Thor. So we'll be discussing a lot of like Marvel things for that. So we have so Thor. And let's see what else. In terms, I haven't figured out Wonder Woman Wednesday thing yet. I may just do a live stream where I answer questions about the comic. In terms of this week's live streams, I'll be on like a bunch of podcasts to promote like Athena. Like I'm going on Gabe El Taib's show hopefully tomorrow night, and there's a few other shows I want to go on. But other than that, there's a let's see what else. Movie night. We're talking about Shazam: Fury of the Gods. And what else? What about Tamaki's run for next week? I did Tamaki's run, as a matter of fact. That was a run. Oh yeah, so let's do that. Let's do a little vote. So I did Tamaki. I believe I did Tamaki's. I should have. I can check, as a matter of fact. Here's the thing. I'll check. Because I'm fairly certain I did Tamaki's run for that. Let me see. Amazon Answers. I'm going through the playlist right now so I can see this. So I was fairly certain I did it. I didn't actually. Okay, then. I will include that in the voting. So, oh yeah, it was probably in the voting thing. So let's do that. But you know what? NJ, you waited. I'll do Tamaki next week. So we'll do the Lords and Liars arc for Wonder Woman. I'll do that. Okay. That's what we'll do for sure. I'll do that for you. And so that's what we're going to do there. And so we already have that set up. And let's see. What else? What else is up going on for Comics League? Under Two Capes, we're going to be doing a full-on stream about Mass Effect, like the comics, the lore, and all that fun stuff. So that's going to be fun. And for Comics League Dark, we're going to be doing an entire in-depth stream on Dispatch. In other words, what we thought of the story, some of the choices we made, why we made them, why the game is like practically a perfect game. That's going to be a full-on Dispatch stream. So be on the lookout for that. I'll even talk about the comics, the prequel, the comics that come with the digital edition of the game that I have, mind you. And a lot of more of the behind the scenes work on the game. So that's where I'm going to leave it. So again, Tamaki next week, and let's see what else. And then, yeah, so that's what I got out. So I expect a Dispatch season 2. It did too well for them not to do a season 2. So as for, and be sure to, again, back Athena, the Goddess of Thunder, and consider becoming a member to the channel, because for as little as $1 a month, you gain access to all my Wonder Woman Wednesdays a day early, and it really helps the channel. But anyway, stay at work, everyone. Remember, Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs to the bottom of a hydraulic press. Zoe Maxibat for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.